So you want to putt like MB Park or Rory McIroy or Cameron Smith. What are some of the keys? I'll go over them shortly. But just by way of reference, in 2022, MB Park, from 10 feet to the hole, she was successful 60% of the time. You may think that's not a lot, but actually it is a lot, because the average on the LPGA that year was 28%. The average on the PGA is 35%. So that is quite phenomenal. What are some of her secrets and those of others? Before I get into those, I want to highlight a couple of other things that you should take into account when either choosing a putter, being fit for a putter, and related to practice. First, remember that some 40% or so of your shots or strokes in a round is putting, and yet very few people pay enough attention to the right choice of putter, to getting fit for a putter, and also to practice sufficiently putting, or use some simple aids. You see down here a mirror, which I'll come to. And not only is this very good for a number of reasons, you will see in other clips that have been made on Cameron Smith that basically that's the main tool that he uses to be so successful, and spends a good 20 minutes or so just with the mirror. And part of that is because he is left eye dominant as a right-hander, so he tends to putt right to left because he is left eye dominant. So that's something else to check. Why is it called a flat stick? It's called a flat stick because there's hardly any loft on the putter. I say hardly because it wouldn't be zero, because if it's zero you'd actually strike the ground. It is on average 3 degrees, depending on the choice of putter, 3 to 4 degrees. You can get it specified and customized for different degrees. Why is that important? Because it depends where you position the ball. It depends on your type of stroke, whether you're doing it more upward or more downward. Let me give you a precise example. Phil Mickelson tends to forward press when he's putting, and therefore he needs more loft because he's essentially down lofting the existing loft, so his real loft is lower. So he has to have more loft on his putter because of his style of putting. Next, if you are able to strike the putting ball slightly on the way up, and that's the ideal, then the loft could be slightly less. So the position of the ball when you're putting is key. So whether it's more central or whether it's more on your front foot. So that affects where you strike the ball. And the key with putting is to strike the ball in the center of the face to get you your truest roll. So slightly on the way up and center of the face. That's why many putters have this alignment mark to help you position it right. Another aspect is obviously your type of stroke. Your type of stroke could be straight, back and forth, a slight arc, or a big arc. And that affects your choice of putter, not only in the shape and style, but whether it's face balanced or toe hanging, according to your style of putting. So all of these aspects are really key. Of course, the length, but also the grip. Have a look at my grip. I'm using the claw style of putting. So this grip is actually designed, as it says here, for a claw grip. Very flat here and easy to hold as a result for that claw grip. So this putting grip is specific to the style of putting that I deploy at the current time. Those are just some elements for you to take into consideration. Let's now delve into how do you become a great putter. One of the keys to good putting is posture, setup, alignment. Not that much different to other shots, but the difference in putting is you have really very few moving parts. Your lower body should remain completely still. Posture is more upright than you would normally have in putting. And one good way to check your grip, I'll come back to the claw grip in a minute, but the normal grip would be to get into your posture and then your hands on your side, bring them together, and that gives you the right sort of grip. Now remember, I said no moving parts. All you're doing is rocking your shoulders. A key aspect of alignment is, and that's where you tend to either putt and push it left or right, is to ensure that your body, your stroke is in line together, parallel to the ball. So if you are ensuring that you are trying to hit in the center, and a key aspect of that is that alignment, and imagine your hand, your forehand, going to the target at the point of impact. So even if you have a curved stroke, at the point of impact you want to be going to the target. So when I say no moving parts, also remember you're not having any weight shift like you're doing for your driver or for your iron. So you keep the lower body as still as possible. One way to help you achieve that might be to cross your legs when you're practicing, and try that because you find it very difficult to move your body, your lower body. Rock your shoulders. Another very good way to practice putting is to take your highest lofted wedge and putt from that. That'll ensure, if you putt right, you'll ensure you are only rocking your shoulders, you are not moving your body. And it's a very good way to learn excellent strokes. And there we are. So practice also with your wedge. Now the other aspect of the mirror, which is key, is using it to align your eyes, and that's what's helped me a lot, and it's certainly one of the things Cameron Smith highlights. So I'm making sure that my right eye is just behind the ball. That's what the mirror helps with. And then execute again. Make sure my right eye is just behind the edge of the ball and execute again. What you want to do when you putt is don't think about the whole ball. Think about a dimple on the ball. So way to get good impact is to strike that center of the face, but on a dimple of the ball. So what you're not thinking about is hitting the whole ball, gives you too much room for error, but rather a specific dimple. So that really helps you. Now another interesting drill that Rory McIroy does is, and you'll see him pre-tournament doing a lot of this, he takes 4 or 5 balls, one is 3 foot away, One is 4 foot away. This is something he's worked on with Brad Faxon. One is 5 foot away to add some pressure. One is 6 foot away, and so forth. And what he does is he's got to put all of them in the hole, one after another. If he doesn't, he starts again. So he has to keep this, and he can't stop till he's done a few rounds of getting all 5 in the hole. Then he can move to the next one and try doing the same, like that. So he challenges himself, puts pressure on himself. If he misses one, let's say he misses the third one, then he has to go back to the first one again. He didn't score. So he puts pressure on himself like it is in a tournament. And putting yourself in pressure situations, especially with putting, really helps you sharpen your skills, sharpen your positioning. And you can score yourself without having to really play against somebody else. But it puts pressure on you to get it right before you can stop. So think about those key aspects. So you want to putt like Inbee Park, like Cameron Smith, like Rory McIroy, whose putting has improved significantly since working on some of these techniques with Brad Faxon, Cameron Smith using the mirror. Focus on those key elements: posture, grip, alignment. Of course, after your right selection of club for your stroke. Your eyeline. No moving parts except rocking your shoulders. No body completely still. Try that method. Try also putting with the leading edge of your highest lofted wedge. It'll help you keep really still, then go back to your putter and repeat that stroke. Practice a lot more putting, given it's such a significant part of your score and the number of shots you have in a round. Focus on some drills that give you pressure. These are some of the keys to good, consistent putting. At the end of the day, manage your expectations. As you saw from the figures that I gave you earlier, if you are achieving 30% of putts from 10 feet to the hole, you're actually matching the PGA average. So don't expect even the top pros, Cameron Smith and the like, some of the best putters in the world, Lucas Herbert, they do not expect every putt to go in, even short putts. They, of course, have a much higher success rate, as you'll have seen in earlier clips on some of the data I presented, when it's 3 feet, and then, of course, even less percentage when it's 15, 20, 25 foot. So manage your expectations, take the pressure off yourself, don't expect every putt to go in, enjoy the process, and enjoy the experience. It is a fun part of the golf game. See you on the flip side.